In this video, I'm going to print the same wedding invitation from 6 different printers, and I'm going to show you all the things that will affect wedding invitation printing, which one does the best, and why. So let's dive in. I'm just going to print the wedding invitation, not the whole suite, because I think this is a good representation of, floral images, some color variation, some watercolor, some text that's a little thin. That can be tricky when printing. And I think this will give us a good understanding of which printers are going to handle wedding invitations really well. I'm going to print this on both of my in-house printers, this one right here, and then my other one that you can't see down here. I have an inkjet and a laser, and I'm going to print them without changing any print settings so we can see what those look like. And then I'm also going to order these from 4 different print shops. So to get those ready for print, the first thing that we need to do is just outline all of our text. That's really the only thing we need to do with this file, but that makes sure that the text prints at the best quality possible. You won't be able to edit the text after you do this, so make sure you save it as a print ready file. Now when I'm printing in-house, I'm just gonna click print and select my correct printer. I'm gonna do just artboard number 2. And my main printer is my Laserjet, which is this baby right here. My media size, that's the paper size, is going to be 5x7. I'll try to print it directly on a 5x7 piece of paper. My printer doesn't handle really thick paper very well. My other printer is better at that, my inkjet. So we'll definitely talk about the different paper options when all of these come in. But this is pretty much all we need to do. And we can go ahead and click print. And the second one we're going to do on my Canon, which is basically the same printing process. So now what does it look like to order these from my 4 different print shops? Since the text is already outlined, we don't need to do a lot left. So we'll just do file, save as. I'm going to save this as a PDF, which is what most printers require. And we'll select just artboard number 2. Now each printer might have slightly different things they need you to do here in this dialog box. What I usually do is uncheck preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. It makes the file a little smaller. And then I do want my bleeds for most of my printers, but most of my printers don't want trim marks. So if your printer needs that, then you can select that here. If your printer doesn't want bleeds or whatever, check out some of our other videos if you're not totally sure what those things mean. You can always ask your printers what they need. I think this file setup will work for pretty much all of the printers that we're going to use today. Now let's upload all of these. The first one I'm going to use is Cards and Pockets, which is a really incredible printer with lots of different colored paper options. That's kind of what they're known for. They also have laser cut shapes, and as you can see, kind of this like lacy laser cut pockets, things like that. They have their envelopes in all the same colors, and you can also just print simple cards with them. So we'll select a 5x7 with custom colored ink. And we'll select our different paper. You'll see a few different options here, like with the finish. I really like just a plain matte finish, but they also have metallic and linen and glossy. They also have the translucent vellum that you can print on. And they have an 80 pound as well as 100 pound. And they also have this Luxe White, which is 130 pound. So what I'm gonna go with is one of their more standard options. So I like this Snow White, which is 100 pound matte. It's a classic white. I would go a little thicker in most cases, but most of their paper offerings are about 100 pound. So I think this is more standard for what they offer. We are not reprinting from a previous order, and then we can just upload our file. We don't need a back file. I've read the printing setup guide, and I don't need a proof. You can always get a proof if you need it. I just don't need that because I am good. I understand how to set up files. Add double-sided printing, no thanks. And we're not going to mount to any other products. And I'm just gonna order 10 for all of these cases. So as you can see, the retail pricing for this one is $1.14 a piece. When I log into my wholesale account, I'll get a little bit of discount, but I wanna show you the retail pricing where I can. So go ahead and check out with that order, and I'll let you know when they come in. The next one we're gonna do is LCI Paper. They have a ton of options, similarly with very different colored papers, envelopes. They offer the white ink printing. They print on vellum, custom envelope liners, just all kinds of things here. So the way we get to their printing is we're gonna start with our blank cards, and I'll select the A7 size. And we'll start with the paper that we want to use. I'm gonna select a matte finish. We'll do flat. And then I want to use the Gamund Colors Matte because that's just kind of their classic paper. It comes in all these beautiful colors, but I'm just going to grab the white. Fluorescent white, snow white, wedding white. I like a bright white, so I'm going to do the fluorescent white. All right, we'll do their lowest quantity, which is 25, and we'll add printing to this. Single-sided black color, no bleeds, no variable. Okay, we're all good on those options. You can design your file here. If you already have it pretty much ready to go, you can upload it as is. I love this little note reminding me that it might look a little blurry here, but it's still going to print really well. So this is already sized exactly as we need it. So it's good to go. Continue. Beautiful. And then you can approve the digital proof as is. I understand that. We'll go next. Now that this is ready to go, we want to check off all of these things that we've got: the paper color, the print color, text margin layout, all of those. And then I'll put in my initials and we'll finalize this order. And just to show you with pricing, I'm getting 25 pieces here at $24.17. Over here, they were $1 each. I was getting 10 for $11.40. So LCI is a little bit of a better deal. And again, if you can sign up for their wholesale program, you can get more. If you spend a lot, you can use some of these coupons that will vary at the top. The third option is our most simple printer. They print on white paper only. They have a good amount of options as far as cards, envelopes, foam board, yard signs, stickers and labels, etc. But they don't have as many variations. They don't do the laser cutting. They don't print on colored paper. They don't have the white ink printing, etc. So if you need something a little more complex, these are not your guys, but if you need something more simple, they're amazing. So we'll just select our card size. We've already got everything here. I like their matte paper. They don't have as many paper options. We'll see that when they come in, but I do like their matte the best. I generally like matte paper the best. And we will upload our file. Beautiful. You can see what that's going to look like by clicking it here. Looks good. And I like that you can just do one custom sample card here. Of course, it's $10 for the sample card, so it's a little bit more, but that's just because they have to print and cut your sample card. So we'll just add this one to cart. And they also have free shipping on all of their orders, so you don't have to add any shipping costs on this, which is nice. Now, lastly, I'm going to use a company called Printswell. This is only for wholesale designers. So if you're only printing one set of cards, then you won't be able to create an account with them. But if you do, you can use my link or say Laney sent you in your application. You'll get $25 off your first order. So I love them. You'll see that they are going to be the most cost-effective option because they do have those wholesale options built in. Even with the wholesale pricing on the other ones, I think they are still the most cost-effective option. And they have all kinds of things. They're not going to offer a lot of the various colors of paper. They have a few that you can print on. They don't do the custom laser cutting, but they do have some standard die cut sizes. But they also offer things like gift and wine tags, notepads, foil stamping, stickers, etc. So they have a little bit of everything that you need for wedding invitation design. They just don't have some of those fancy extras. And they do offer white ink printing on their colored envelopes and things like that. So we'll select our A7 card. And then my house stock is this 120 eggshell ultra white. It's my favorite paper of all the ones that we use, but they do have a lot of other options as well. Let's grab 10 of these, and as you can see, they're 59 cents each, so significantly less than any of the other options that we've tried, although I haven't showed you the wholesale pricing, but I do think it's still less. We'll upload this. We get a little preview. It's really simple to add die cut shapes if you want to, and you'll be able to preview what those look like, but we don't need that. You can add envelopes here. You can see all the different colors that they carry, but we do not need envelopes for this sample. We'll just click next and we'll add to cart. So I'm going to go ahead and order these. It'll take me about a week to get all of them in, and I'm going to check out the ones that print on my local printers here, and then I will compare them all and see if y'all can tell the difference between them, see what you like paper-wise, printing-wise, and quality-wise overall. Hi everyone, all of our packages are here. I also printed these out on our 2 printers in-house. So I'm really excited to get these open and show you, compare them, because I've never actually done this. Okay, the important thing is keeping these really well labeled so I don't forget which one is which. I will say the packaging on all of these is quite good. They all seem really safe. They all so far have been in, both of these have been in plastic, keeping it safe. Although I will say this, like shrink wrap plastic is harder to get everything out, especially with just a small quantity without kind of bending the edge. So I definitely recommend being really careful with that. I prefer the sleeves because they're easier to do. Let's see pants. I learned my lesson on that last shrink wrap one. So I'm just gonna cut this one. It is interesting that everyone packages so differently. You've got boxes and envelopes, all sorts. But they've all been packaged well and very securely. Okay, so far all three, except for Printswell, are shrink wrapped. So just keep that in mind. You might need to cut them if you have a shrink wrap option versus the resealable sleeves. I am used to those because I use Printswell the most. There are 4 main options. You can see that the colors of the paper are already a little different. So I'll swap over so you can see and compare them. Let's start with the ones I printed in-house. I have a Canon Inkjet printer and an HP laser printer. Laser printers, in-house ones especially, often can't handle that thicker paper. So we printed both of these on the same paper, and I cut these down. We're not judging the cutting, just the print quality. And you can see with the HP, we lost so much of the color, even some of the letters. So I printed it on a thinner paper just to see how well we could do. And we did okay. I think the colors are all right. They pull a little green, and we're missing some of the really light colors. So while I do think eventually I could dial this in correctly, it's not my favorite for handling colors. My inkjet printer, on the other hand, did a much better job. This one pulls, this is that really thick paper too. I think it's like 130 pound. So it looks really good. The text looks pretty crisp. This is a pretty good print job. The colors are all pulling a little bit blue for me. So I would like them to pull a little bit more green. And I think that's an adjustment I would have to make. This is just printing that exact same file that we printed at the other printers though. It does pull a little blue, but I think we could get there very easily with this printer. So I love my HP. I love how it handles text on envelopes and things like that. You can see the text printed here is very crisp, very nicely done. But I do think the Canon Inkjet is going to do a lot better job on these watercolor elements. Just to show you what I mean by all of this pulling blue, I'm going to pull our first one, which is Prince of Love. I can't pick these up very easily. And I think here you can see that all of this feels more green, feels a little bit more natural, whereas especially like in these leaves, we're pulling a lot more blue. So I think this one looks really nice. In general, I often prefer outsource prints, and they do have higher quality printers that can handle the papers better. This paper is a little thinner than the one we used on the Canon, and I think it's a little thinner than some of the other options we'll see today. But honestly, they did a really good job. Let's compare to LCI. At first glance, really nice. Everything is crisp. The colors look good. I do think we pulled a little more blue on this than on this one. Not to say that it's terrible. Here's the Canon again. So this one still feels more natural colors, but this is a little bit more blue and this is a little bit more warm. Now the paper here, this is I believe Wedding White from Gamund. It's a little bit brighter. This paper feels more dull and a little bit more blue. And Prince of Love only offers the one type of paper. I definitely think I prefer this paper to this one, and it feels feels thicker as well. You can actually see that that's thicker. So I think so far, my favorite is the LCI, mostly just because of the paper. We grab Cards and Pockets. We did this on their Snow White, so you can see the paper is a lot warmer here. I typically go with a bright white, more of a cool tone paper, so I'm drawn to that, but I think this one is nice as well. They're pretty much the same thickness. They feel nice. This one has a little more texture to it. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can see that texture, whereas this one is definitely more smooth, and the prints are both very good quality. Let's see, this one is very crisp on the text. I do think this one feels more warm, but that also could be partially because the paper is a little bit warmer too. So I think this feels a little brighter too. The print quality on this one, I would rate a little bit above this one. Paper, I would say is equal. And then we'll add in Printswell, and I want to put this paper between. This is my ultra white, kind of my house stock, and you can see it is brighter than this one. It's not quite as bright as the Gamund bright white. So I do love this paper. This is my preference paper just because I'm used to it. It has a little bit of texture. This one I think still has a little more. And I believe that this one and this one are about a tiny bit thicker than this one, but I don't think you really notice it. I think this one's 100 pound and this one's 120 pound. So just a tiny bit thicker. Print quality, let's compare. I also want to bring Prints of Love back in here. I think all of these did a really good job. I like the print. I feel like these three all seem a tiny bit more crisp than the Prints of Love, although the Prints of Love is kind of light years ahead of my in-house ones. Definitely a lot better print on this one, but I do think that I like these three a little bit better. If I had to narrow it down, it all depends on your preferences in paper and options, and you saw price differences as well. So I do think it's really hard to narrow down very specifically. Printswell is the company that I use the most, so I'm used to how my work prints on this paper, and I think this feels like the warmest color tone of all. These two feel, let's put them side by side. This one feels like the warmest, the most yellow, whereas these two feel like they pull just a tad too much green. And that might be because my monitor is more calibrated to Printswell, but you might want to just err on the side of, warming up your colors a little bit if you want them to feel really warm. So I think I'm drawn to this one mostly just because of the warmth here, because I'm used to how my work prints on their paper, and I do like this paper a tad more because this one feels a little too warm for me and this one feels a little too cool for me. But both of these companies have a lot of other papers that you can choose from as well. So does Printswell. So I really don't think you can go wrong with LCI, Printswell, or Cards and Pockets. I also think Prints of Love did a really good job, so I'm not trying to negate them. I think that their paper options are a little bit more limited, but ordering with them is simpler, and they are very fast with free shipping too. This was a super fun experiment for me. There were some surprises in it for me. I especially was proud of my Canon printer. I thought it did a pretty good job, and with a little color adjustment, we could get there. But let me know which one was your favorite. I'm really intrigued to hear if you agree with me, or if maybe I'm just a little bit biased from what I normally go to. Let me know if there's anything else I can test out for you. I would love to do so. And if you want to try out any of these printers, including our HP and Canon, I will link them in the description for you.